Hello and welcome, ladies and gents, back to another episode of Ne0 Gets To Know. I'm joined by one of the UK's very own. It's none other than Gizmy. Fella, thank you very much for joining me. First of all, congratulations. Good win earlier today as well. On the day of recording, just taking down Passion UA. How are we feeling after that?
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, feeling good. Just main thing for us is obviously playing. Playing what we practiced,
Mm-hmm.
and we just practiced some of those maps yesterday and in the past days. So good to see this good CS coming through. And then you know it was also nice beating past teammates. Bit
Sure.
more. There's no grudge between me and Ryu and like Demgu and Woro or
Mm.
whatever. But I would say it was probably important for like the org, because
Okay.
I'm pretty sure some fans have said criticized them or something like this
Sure.
for
Also, as
no
well,
longer
it's
having
like,
those players.
I guess it's like a kind of a friendly bragging rights, right? You know those guys so well. Just
Yeah,
to win in
yeah,
a way, you can kind of like have a little jibe at them as mates, and it's easy in that sense.
yeah. Those are always good. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Let's go right back to the start. How did not even just esports? How did video games start for you? Where did it all begin? First console, first games. What's your story into just video games as a whole?
Um, it would have been Minecraft, I think.
There you go.
Well, if we're going super far back, then that's like playing with the 3DS
Oh
or
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and shit like that, and
Little
playing
Christmas
Pokemon and
present.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but no, the main like PC slash
Mm-hmm.
Xbox kind of thing was Minecraft. Played
Mm-hmm.
that for actually quite a while. Like I actually got um my main thing on that was factions. So like,
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah, competing with other people, and then so that was class. Good hobby.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but obviously, I didn't at that point of time. I didn't spend too much time on it because I was also very much a sporty person as well. So
Sure.
I was in a bunch of different sport clubs and stuff like this. Um, then my brother started playing CS because he all three of me and my two other brothers played Minecraft, and
Yeah.
then one I don't know started playing Destiny and uh, Rainbow and stuff like that
Sure.
on the Xbox. My other brother moved to CS. At the same time he started playing CS, he also the reason he moved was because he played Strike, which is CS on Minecraft. It's like
Okay.
a
Another one.
mini
Yeah.
game mode. I
Yeah.
started playing that. It was sick. And then I eventually moved to CS because of my brother.
Mm-hmm.
Started playing with him. Um, yeah, just obviously had a lot of fun uh, playing it, and then it became my main game, and haven't switched since.
In terms of
Yeah.
esports, was Counter-Strike the only one that you ever even kind of thought about competing? Was there ever, I know like some players like Dota or League or, you mentioned
Hmm.
even Siege, for example. Was it always kind of CS for you? None of the others really even took your fancy?
Yeah. But like also CS, I never actually went into it wanting to become a pro. I just
Okay.
really enjoyed the game. And even, I was also to a degree in like denial. I
Okay.
was obviously like at a lot of points in my career, I've been like the younger guy.
Sure.
Um, Obviously now I'm 21 and there's even younger people coming up into the tier one scene and stuff. But
Yeah.
at the time I was always the younger guy.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, actually, well, my current career path's not decided fully yet. But when I was growing up, I always wanted to go into finance and like be
Okay.
a banker and stuff, just because, yeah. So and I played CS competitively,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't aspire to go pro in the long term. Now I'm at this current stage. I'm uh, being more realistic with my options. So obviously I'm still at university
Sure.
and doing CS alongside that. So in a way juggling both, but there will come a time where I'll have to make a decision
Yeah.
between the
Sure.
two. Um, which to be fair also depends a lot on what happens in CS
Mm-hmm.
because you know if obviously if in like a year or something or whatnot I'm in a tier one team or near enough to it,
Yeah.
then it's definitely much more of a stable career path where I can say there's this, I've got this long of a contract that
Sure.
to my parents or whoever's interested, and yeah, so
Fair enough.
that's
And
that.
how did you start getting in? So, playing Counter Strike, you and your brother, when did the whole esports sort of thing, when did it actually start for you? Obviously, a lot of UK guys, we come through playing in kind of hubs, UK kind of Premier League, that kind of thing. But when did the whole, like, when did you start watching Counter Strike competitively? When did you start kind of competing, even if it's like a real basic sort of Sunday league, bedroom org type stuff? Or when did you start kind of forming teams, playing roles, and when did that all start for you? And what's the story getting into the competing? Because I'm right in saying was Heaven and Hell your first like HLTV side? I feel like when I looked earlier, I
Yeah,
think it might be in some look
it's
now. Oh,
it would have been
Lucent,
Lucent.
Lucent,
That was
yeah,
from an Epic LAN.
yeah.
So that's where the HTV came from. But yeah, okay. I actually didn't um play a lot of UK hubs
Okay,
when I was going up in Elo and Face It and stuff. I basically found my own like community, which was from retake servers. Like I used to play a lot of
okay,
those
yeah.
when I was lower down.
Mm-hmm.
So made a bunch of friends in there. So my first actual team was a mix with friends from that kind of group,
Nice.
um, and that was an ECA Open. I had good stats there.
Mhm.
Also, and then some of my friends were also in a team. Got picked up to, I think it was Hypnotic with
Okay.
you would know Wolfie,
Yes, yeah,
um,
yeah.
yeah, and Konzi, Earl, Exley. I think that was the team.
All the guys are kind of like still around, at least in some regard, like today, at least like
Yes,
even on Twitter. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So that was my first kind of like team,
And how long
if
ago was
I'm
that?
recalling correctly. Ooh, probably 3 years if I'm
Okay,
if
yeah.
I'm guessing. If I'm guessing, yeah, maybe
Hmm.
3.5. So went from Hypnotic, had like 2 good seasons with them or something statistically. Then I got picked up to Lucent,
Sure.
straight to ESA main with Nem, Timo,
Yep.
I think Finwee at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Forgetting the last guys. Sorry to whoever it is. Um, but yeah, played main with them for a couple seasons. Also, Zulu was there
Zulu,
as well.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know if he was there. He wasn't there when I joined at the beginning though.
Okay, he's on
And
HLTV
also,
here for
yeah,
2021. Yeah.
Staix was there, or Siren now was my teammate at
Yes.
one point as well for a
Yep.
bit. Yeah, so all of those guys, and then eventually, I was IGL in that team,
Mm-hmm.
so I got brought in as a rifler. Then I moved into an IGL role at some point just because I was a very vocal guy.
Sure.
Um, and then um, just another few good seasons with some good stats. I was speaking to, I think like one time I spoke to Kieran Biscu
Yes. Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
on a call just randomly, and then he was asking me questions about um, CS and how I like to call and what prep I did and stuff like this. And as far as I'm aware, that's one of the bigger reasons for him at least why he picked me up or was
Hmm.
involved in picking me up to Viperio. So
Sure.
back then it was um, Fambit or with the
Okay.
artist lot. I, I
Yes.
I
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
remember the
I
name
think
at
it
the
was
time.
Fambit. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I think I replaced Volt after he went to Fnatic
Sure.
Academy. Um, and uh, yeah, so got brought in as a rifler then, and then played with them for quite a while, and then obviously made the RMR with them, which was the most notable thing.
Of course. Got the jersey
Unf-
behind as well. There
yeah,
we go. There we go.
yeah, there it is.
I
Yeah,
actually didn't even place that. It's just been up for all of Cologne, but it's been there.
right. Okay, nice, nice. No, I do like that jersey. I thought it was always a nice
Yeah.
colored jersey.
Got my green screen thing in the way,
Um,
but yeah, always thought it was good.
yeah, yeah, yeah. After the RMR got kicked, so then was out of that team. Um,
Happens.
played with Heaven and Hell.
Mhm.
Um, and hang on, there's also a stint I'm forgetting. Oh man, maybe I've mixed this up.
Let's have a
I
look.
also played with Heaven. Yeah, I need to bring up my HTV. I played with Docs and Heaven and Hell, like also
Yeah.
maybe in between Lucent.
Right.
Yeah, I think it was in between Lucent and Vambit, right?
The order it's got here: Lucent first, then Heaven and Hell, then Fambit, then Eco,
Yeah,
then
okay,
SOS, Viperio, Coalesce.
okay, yeah, no, I remember it now. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, so I think Wolfie was then a big part of me joining uh Heaven and Hell after Lucent. Sorry,
Sure.
um, and then I learned a lot with Docs and Leaf,
Hmm.
and Um, and then yeah, after we actually won ESC Open, made advance, then got
Nice.
picked, played the season there, picked up to Fambit, made RMR, got kicked, then went back to Docs' lot in Heaven and Hell, but with whatever the org was called then, maybe one pin.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
then I think at that point near the end of the season, Azu got picked up to endpoint.
Hmm.
And the team, because there was no org, essentially like kind of stopped, because also then Docs went to, there was some like mini stint with Artist lot as well, and
Sure.
can't really remember fully that, but there
Yeah.
was something good there. So then I was essentially teamless. We were considering uh like building it again, because
Mhm.
then Docs's thing with Artist lot ended quite quickly, so he was coming back. And then had an offer from Keen from the Prodigies,
Of course.
Keen and
Yeah.
Shield. So I was also qualified to FPLC
Hmm.
uh, during it was even back in Lucent I was there. So obviously I made friends with some EU guys, and I think that's where they more noticed me. And yeah, I decided. So at that point in time, before I joined Prodigies, I had Prodigies offer, basically offer to go back with the Heaven and Hell guys,
Yeah.
Docs' lot. Also had a offer from Artist lot again.
Mhm.
So it's basically UK or EU. So I chose EU because
Sure.
I was like, I don't know. I was actually thinking as well at that moment in time. I don't think the Prodigies lineup I joined was better than the
Okay.
other two. I think they weren't much worse, but I think if the roster, I think the best roster at that time would have been to join the Docs one in terms of firepower.
Sure.
But I chose EU just for more connections. Get my name out there more. Also, they were in a in Challenger League, so I could play
Yeah.
more HOTV matches.
A business decision ultimately, right?
Pretty much, pretty much.
Yeah.
And it ended up working out. Shield got picked up to Monty Gen,
Yeah.
and they actually were then looking for an IGL for the last role. Um, and also like an active IGL. Uh, so Shield actually recommended at the time Cons, who was also playing in the Prodigies with us.
Sure.
He didn't pass the tests. Then I can't remember if Shield recommended me or if I asked him, but um, basically I then trialed for like the star roles,
Hmm.
and they liked me. And then Shield IGL'd, played with them for a while. Uh, then had some good successes as an academy team with them. Um, uh, at some point got called to sub for Monty at the RMR for SCY.
Yes. Yep.
So that was a nice step up. Again, got my name out there a bit. Then went back, and then got called to join Monty
Yeah.
or trial with them essentially, which lasted maybe 2 months. Near enough after that, I was then still playing my usual roles in like the star rifle roles,
Hmm.
active rifle roles, and for like maybe a month more. But then it got to a point where we decided to swap me to IGL, because in terms of like game prep and stuff, I was doing the IGL's work essentially,
Sure. Yeah.
and then I was like, it just made sense. No diss into Shield, who was at
Yeah.
IGL at the time. Just I don't know. I've always had like a really big competitive drive, so that's where
Sure.
the prep comes from and stuff. So started IGL in Monty Gen when I was back there, and then again got the call up to Monty at the start of this year after the Polish roster didn't really succeed,
Yeah.
and yeah,
Here we
then I've
are.
been in Monty since. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Let's. I want to pick some parts about it, about that, the whole kind of storyline from right from the beginning to the end. So starting with kind of the UK versus EU thing. Do you think, generally speaking, these days for a UK player coming through, you sort of have to go international? This has been something that I've asked a variety of UK players, and a lot of people sort of lean in that way, that if you really want to commit to playing full time and getting orgs and being in a position where you can actually kind of live off Counter Strike, in a sense, moving international feels like the way. And, in general, basically every scene in the world kind of is going that way now. It only really feels like Big are like the only team that have stuck to a German lineup or a national lineup in a sense, and maybe like 3D
Mm.
Max. But the UK scene, as with many other scenes, you sort of have to go international these days to really survive. Do you think that's kind of the case of UK?
Yeah, kind of. I think it's a hard one, because in general, like in theory, it should be easier for the UK guys to play in a UK team and then get
Mm-hmm.
picked up to EU team, like a good one. because obviously they speak English, and
For sure.
that's like obviously in these teams communication is a really big thing, and if you know the language perfectly, this should be a huge advantage, but it doesn't really happen. Um, and it's probably because of just the more so lack of success UK teams have
Okay.
had. I mean, obviously you had success with ITB
Yeah.
when they made the major, and then obviously the players got picked up. You know, Cypher went to TSM at the time, I think,
Yes,
and
that
then
was right.
Volt
Yeah.
went to Gamer Legion. Like, so these are successes. You know, they branched out. Um, and again, similar thing. You just need to like you would see with other regional teams in different countries. The way like maybe a star player or something gets picked up from a team that isn't that great, but they're like 1.2 rating or
Hmm.
something, and they're playing maybe low level HTV officials like United 21s or something like this.
Sure.
So these people get scouted to kind of more mid level EU teams. Um, but in the UK, HOTV games has always been a problem. Like
Yeah.
it's just always been one. So I think there was obviously that time with Fanbit's lot when Volt got picked up to
Yeah.
Fnatic Academy, I think. That's an example of that. He had good stats. They were playing active HOTV games because they were in ESEA Advanced playoffs or something.
Yes.
Um, so they had a bunch of HOTV and he had good stats, and then this happened. But for some reason, for a long time, UK teams struggled to get invites. I can say when I was in Viperio and stuff, like it was a big problem as well.
Mm.
But even more so before Viperio, even during just like the Fanbit time when I was there and stuff. Um, there's a bit more opportunity now, I would say, because obviously the United 21s and stuff.
Yeah.
But these now again, it's kind of they have these teams that they regularly invite because it's an unranked event. So yeah, I actually think Alaska, the artist lot, was
Yes.
one of the
Yeah.
teams they were inviting. But again, like if there isn't someone who's putting up 1.2 or something or 1.15,
Hmm.
depending on the roles or 1.1, they won't get picked up
Yeah.
to these teams, and that's just how it is. So I think that's the major problem, which is why I wanted to go EU because then there's just more you just have way more connections basically. Like all of a sudden I have it's not just about like if you're in the UK team, it's, you know, everyone UK, cool. You're in an EU team, you've got a guy from Latvia, a guy from Lithuania, a guy from
Yeah.
this country, and what happens is then you end up pugging with, you know, their mates and stuff, and
For
you just
sure.
constantly branch your connections, and then something will come eventually if you're like if people are speaking good about you, you know,
Yeah. Of
because
course.
people
Recommendations and
talk.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. So talk to me about then the UK scene as a whole in terms of what are the issues sort of holding it back. And obviously, you know, HTV invites has always been one, but just as a whole in terms of, you know, I spoke to players from other scenes, for example. I remember speaking to, I can't remember who it was, somebody from the Polish scene. They were saying, you know, there was a lot of like infighting in the Polish scene with certain people didn't like each other,
Mm.
so teams could never be found, or mentality. I mean, okay, it's kind of been a bit of a classic thing for the UK guys. We've always had been branded as being kind of like toxic and or kind of bad, right? It's like, what do you think holds UK players back from just as a whole in terms of like I guess rep in a way, but also in terms of the scene itself, whether maybe work ethic's not that good or people aren't as active as kind of you are, for example, when it comes to sort of networking. What do you think holds like an average good player back?
I mean, it's going to be like a obviously a mix of a bunch of different things.
Mm.
I think maybe more pressing ones is also sometimes seen this stuff on in you know the Twitter threads that the UK scene sometimes has.
We love them.
But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I think
Every
one
epic
of them
one.
is yeah, one of them is like just kind of like the system of things from the get-go.
Mm-hmm.
UK doesn't, or at least when I was kind of coming up, it didn't really have people willing to step down a level to then teach people. So you
Okay,
see
sure.
it really a lot in other scenes where like, you know, someone steps down a level, sometimes because they're not good enough for the level they were at,
Mm-hmm.
but they still have all of like the ideas, they have
Yep.
all of these things. So I don't know, like it's Asilian and Prezi teaching Danish guys, or
Sure.
just first name, or Rufire from the Russian scene, or
Yeah.
Softic as well,
Yeah. Like
leading
proper
Spirit Academy as a
mentors,
coach.
basically.
Yeah, Tobias and Malzanik T. Just so you have all these people that are like, basically, whether it's their choice or not, they step down a level and they teach these people things, and also especially for the people where it's not necessarily a choice because maybe they just got worse, the reason they can still do it is because of the like essentially cost of living in the country.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, there's no one in the UK that like if you're not you can't like if you have a salary of £1,000 a month, which even in the
Mhm.
UK is kind of considered good,
Yeah,
uh, in terms of what the orgs provide. If you're a Russian guy or you live in Ukraine or Estonia or wherever it is,
yeah.
typically Eastern Europe, you this
You
is a
can live off
livable
that.
wage,
Yeah.
yeah, and you have actual adults living off this wage,
Mhm.
teaching younger people or playing with them and stuff like this, and um, then it's like an actual feasible thing. Anyone now in the UK that like isn't or like maybe falls down or something, they just can't do it.
Yeah,
Their
yeah.
uni's running out, they have to go get a job,
Mhm.
stuff like that. So those two kind of sync together, just the essentially cost of living in the UK
Sure.
and the need to find a job, and then that links to the no one really being there to pass knowledge down. I
Yeah.
think also there was that thing of a lot of the UK like top went to Valorant as well,
Of course.
more so
Yeah,
than other
yeah.
countries. So
Boaster and all of those names. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So that was just another thing. Yeah, and then like there's a few other details. Like yeah, you could maybe speak about work ethic or
Mhm.
culture or something like this, but I wouldn't say. Um, I think the UK probably gets too much criticism for that as well. Like
Sure.
I think um, like I've seen really bad or non-hardworking people from other regions, and I've heard of them as well. It's not anything that's exclusive to the UK.
Yeah.
It just when this is kind of all you see, maybe
Sure.
that's how it is. I think another thing is just that is why it's like that is because obviously the UK is like um, if someone has a problem with someone,
Mm.
they'll happily tweet it, or they'll happily like tell everyone or something
Yeah.
like this. So then everyone hears all the bullshit about everyone else, and then
Yeah.
stuff
A
like
lot of
this. Maybe in
drama.
other regions, yeah, in other regions maybe it's a bit more closed. Like you don't see the Danish scene cursing each other out on Twitter because of this. So it doesn't mean that the UK's crazily unhardworking and just really toxic and stuff like this. It just have a lot more to say really, and yeah. But a lot of people, you know, maybe they could have worked harder, but it's the same in any country. So I
Yeah,
don't
for
think that's
sure.
the major issue.
How important then is it having somebody like Messi right now, who right at the top of the game, in the best team in the world? Granted, obviously didn't end up winning the Cologne, but the streak they've
Yeah.
just been on and playing as well as he is playing, he's sort of flying the flag quite high for the UK. How important is it having somebody like him? And I don't know if it's been the same for you, but I've spoken to a variety of people from the UK, and apparently, they've all said that they've reached out to him. He's been very receptive. He's pretty helpful, and obviously still kind of keeps in contact with the scene. So as a sort of a role model in a sense, how important is it having somebody like a Messi?
It's so important, really. Like, um, it really helps a lot. It obviously if he, yeah, I've heard that as well, that Messi's, reaching out to people. I've messaged him before
Mm-hmm.
just to, I think it was after the major, just,
Yeah,
said congrats, and he replied, and, very, very nice guy. I've also met him in person before
yeah, top bloke.
at one of the events I was at. Yeah, so he's a great guy. I've never heard anything bad about him. Even from actually some of the teammates I've had now, like
Mm,
after he played with him at some point, always rated him highly.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, it's really important to have a good role model because obviously the scene has in past years before Messi's had this climb have had maybe not the best role models
some
and
bad
and
ones.
yeah, and even like it just helps no one basically because then
Yeah,
you're getting flamed and face it because someone's calling you a UK dog because no one in the UK's ever done anything,
yeah,
and the best people are known for maybe being toxic or something, and
sure.
it just shits on the reputation of just everyone. So now we have Messi there. He's playing insane. He's doing such a good job in his roles as well because he's got really difficult roles,
Yeah,
like seriously good, and it puts a really good light on the UK players. Or potential of UK players.
yeah,
And it also, I've always said as well, like it's important for people to like move like this because then people look at who's the next UK player. Basically,
for
I think
sure.
one of the biggest regions that happened in maybe was with like Israelis. So
Yes.
especially with Endpoint, even like they were picking up, they picked up. I can't remember the
Flames.
order, but
I think it's
Flames, then
yeah,
Nerds, then
yeah.
Heavy Gods. These things will happen where okay now they're seeing Messi at the top. So now instead of get like if a team's looking at a UK guy and some other guys, instead of the UK getting laughed out of the conversation, now it's a real thing because there's a UK
For
player
sure.
in the number one team in the world, and yeah, that's the main thing. And of course, yeah, if Messi's helping people as well, I've heard, if he's doing it like well, it's really good because I can also say like Vitality's level of CS right now, although it's obvious because they've won so much, but
Mm,
like there's really levels to this, and they are like they excel so much more than other teams in, and the main things it's in is with like the details, like the
for
small,
sure.
okay, let's double peek here, or the communication, where's the gaps, let's uh fix the gaps, make sure nothing's there. Of course, Apex is doing some really good calls as well. He's got
Yep.
a great variety of his playbook, and of course all of them are really good individually as well, but a lot of teams miss out on these micro details,
Hmm.
and I think that's another thing which then if Messi's speaking to people, he can basically teach them about, and it's going to have real time impact on them. If he's stressing the importance of such interpersonal qualities
Yeah.
and things like this.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
it's good.
So I want to move on and talk about Monty a little bit as well, and in particular when you initially got kind of called up to the main team full time, right? Not so much the stand-in, but the full time. I mean, how
Sure.
was that for you, right? And obviously, you played already that kind of stand-in stint with the RMRs a couple of months and whatnot, but generally getting the call up to play full time, Monty calling, sort of leading this team in a sense. How did that feel in terms of I guess obviously kind of pride in a way, getting kind of I guess the respect, be like we want you to kind of be the leader of the side, but also in terms of stepping up in the level of opponents, the opportunities there, the types of tournaments you're playing as well. What did it feel like stepping up in towards essentially kind of the big leagues of the top level of tier two in a sense?
It was nice. Yeah. It was nice. Obviously, going into it, it was in theory quite a comfortable situation because
Mm-hmm.
I've moved up with my coach at the time, and you know, so you already have the synergy there. You already have the
Yeah.
strategies that you've worked with each other on, and this guy knows what you like to call and stuff. So it was like, yeah, from the outside view, like a comfortable move up, and
Mm-hmm.
um and also the players there as well, just individually were like really good.
Yeah.
Hayes, really good player. She an AWPer that I would like rarely see miss. I think
Mm-hmm.
when this is qualities. Um, and so regardless of maybe not having the best time in GT or whatever, but you put him on a tier two team
Yeah.
and he's just constantly farming. Diha, who's had that really good stint with Ents
Of
and
course. Yeah.
had put up good numbers there as well. Really nice guy to work with, and also brought some like valuable experience. I would say like actual good insights now and then. And then Demke as well, just very good quality anchor,
Yeah.
good aim, um, stuff like this. So, and of course Ryu, who's insane.
Yeah.
The only problem kind of going in was just the roles, because Ryu and Demke are mirrored exactly on like the hard anchor, hard
Okay.
lurks. So we put Ryu in star roles,
Mm-hmm.
which actually I wasn't a big fan of, but regardless of that, like that was the really only problem. So that existed, but it wasn't a major issue. Just the main issues then came from it just went one by one. So Diha left like a month in, or
Yeah.
month and a half in, obviously for his own reasons. I think maybe some relations in the team
Mm-hmm.
had a bit of like bit of struggle before me, Ryu, and Ivan joins. Like there was nothing we could do to a
Mm-hmm.
degree about that, and maybe that impacted the decision. Uh, After that, then Hayes was starting to want to leave a bit because obviously Diha left, his
Yeah.
Polish guy. Um, so there was a bit of struggle there. We picked up Lean,
Yeah.
which at the time, like because of VRS, although we didn't properly know at the time, we were essentially almost forced into the decision because if
Okay.
we didn't pick up Lean, we would have been like rank 180 or something in the worlds. All the points would have
Right.
gone just because of how the VRS worked. Because
Mm-hmm.
yeah, what ended up happening, we picked up Lean, so we actually retained the Monty Gen core. So we lost the Monty
Okay.
core, and we were like rank 80th in the world or something with Monty Gen.
Yeah.
So we retained that, which is quite important anyway, because the org and the team had like quite high ambitions to make the RMR deadline, the top 26 EU
Hmm.
for that. So if we were to go to rank 180, 2 months into the season, that'd just be
Yeah.
horrendous, basically. Um, and then yeah, Hades went to G2, Demke went to Passion,
Hmm.
and we were just constantly kind of put in awkward spots. We had to kind of rush to find new players with Haji and Afro,
Hmm.
so we couldn't really go through a longer trial process or anything. It was just like quick decision,
Sure.
look at the stats, just hear a few opinions from people, and that was it. And yeah, it's a really difficult season after that point, or just well during those kind of all those changes.
Hmm.
And yeah, it was just obviously tried my hardest throughout, which I think has also had some good
Yeah.
consequences back now. But yeah, so we end up keeping Afro, moving Haji and Lean. Just didn't fit the team or
Sure.
weren't really what we were looking for, and it's the simplest answer. And yeah, then had a player break to have a longer trial process, and now we're here with Afro, Ryu, Bimas, and Azu, um, and also our new coach Kakafu.
Yeah.
Um, so looking pretty good. Happy with where we're at. We've got really good aimers, really guys with really good level heads and good communication, hardworking guys. So I'm actually very excited for the season, and yeah, of course, linking back to the point of the hard work kind of paying off,
Mm.
just because also my teammates have had offers from other teams as well during the player break and stuff, and
Yeah.
some of them chose to stay with us, even with bigger salaries and different teams or higher ranks in the ranking. They chose to stay here, which is a very good sign as well. Just moving forwards, that
Yeah.
people have faith in the team, people want to be here, they like everyone, stuff like this. So
That's good to see.
yeah, it's yeah.
And for you individually, when did the whole thing about wanting IGL start? When did kind of you start picking up the mantle of calling, and why? Like for what was the reason for you saying, all right, I want to call. I know you mentioned you got that work ethic, you're doing a lot of prep already, but when did it really, not even just in Monty, but just in general, when did you kind of make that call of I want to actually lead teams here?
Well, well then yeah. When I first IGL'd in Lucent, it was somewhat similar to Monty Gen, but yeah, it was just like I felt like I understood the game a lot,
Okay.
at the level where I was at that point, and maybe there was sometimes frustration with what the IGO I had called or something like
Mm.
this, or whatever it is. And I've always been confident in my own decision making, whether it's on server in terms of like the game calling, and also off server in terms of like real like actual decisions.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously at lower level teams, there's not a whole management around you to
Of
make the
course.
decisions for you, essentially. So that was kind of it. I've always, obviously been a vocal guy, but always been a guy just, I don't know, in school and stuff who liked to take lead in a lot of
Sure.
school projects or whatever it is. It's just the personality traits and stuff, and
Yeah.
that's probably where it comes from. And then, yeah, and Monty Gen, as I said, just took over because I felt I could be doing more, and it made sense. And also, it wasn't just for me as well at the time when I took IGL from Shield. It was also the free Shield up because I don't think
Sure.
he never really wanted to be an IGL as well. So definitely freed him up with the AWP, allowed him to do more moves, less focus on the macro, more on his individual game, and so it all kind of just made sense in the both those moments,
Yeah.
and that's why I'm here now, IGLing.
Fair enough. And kind of final question for this before we move on to some other kind of away from Counter Strike ones. What's it like playing for Monty? What is the organization like? What's it like playing for a side? Of course, in a sense as well, the difference between playing for an international org versus I guess just general UK orgs, more kind of bedroom style. What's the step up? What are the differences you get? Obviously, wage being one of them, sure, but what's the extra stuff that comes with playing for an organization like Monty, of course, who has gone to really high highs?
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, yeah. Wage is one of them. I guess as I briefly mentioned before, just the whole management.
Mm,
Um, it's like yeah, people. Yeah, it's not my job to basically make all these decisions, which is of course good in a lot of scenarios because I need to focus on the game. I need to focus on my job. And
Yeah.
even back in, let's say, Viperio,
Hmm.
it's not the owners making the decisions. It's the team,
Yeah.
and any roster moves or any tournament invites, what we accept. It was just all the team.
Hmm.
Typically the IGL as well, and coach, and so that's a big thing. Um, and then I guess just like um, well, actually, another big one is just the whole fan base. Like, there's
Okay.
actual fans.
Yeah.
Like in Viperio, there was um, well, not many actual fans. Like there was a few people that love the org and then
Hmm.
love the team, but you know, maybe that's another thing in the UK as well, that the UK is definitely less of like a fan heavy in at
Yeah.
least in CS. Like you see the Turkish fans, the Brazil
Yes.
fans, just all these people. They're like they treat it as if it's like football, where it's like
Yeah.
ride or die.
Yeah.
And the UK doesn't have that yet in gaming, which is fine. But I've always had some really nice messages from the Ukrainian fans from Monte.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of them, um, yeah, enjoy watching me and yeah, send nice messages. I have a Telegram channel where I post
Okay.
match updates and stuff, because I actually
Yeah.
don't really post on Twitter anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, on Telegram, just for the Monty fans, and again, people are very nice there. And yeah, that's probably the three main things really.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, so I want to kind of move on to a few more kind of just personal questions about yourself before we move into the random, the weird, and the wonderful. So first and foremost, the one that I always like to ask players: how easy slash hard was the conversation with your parents saying, "I want to give this a go. I want to go pro"? Now, some people obviously pretty easy, seamless, especially if kind of the contract's there, but others have to kind of really work for it. So for yourself, obviously you talk about going to university. I think last time we spoke, it's a while ago when we spoke. I think you were taking a break from uni when the Monty stuff happened. I think.
Yes, yes. So I
Yeah,
actually have been on break for 6 months, but I'm
yeah,
starting again in September,
yeah. So
basically.
I'll make it a two parts then. So first one, how easy slash hard was that conversation kind of to the parents, people around you saying kind of, I want to go pro, I want to give this a go and just see where it takes me. And also, of course, in a sense, sort of saying I'm going to take a bit of a break from university. Obviously, generally speaking,
Yeah.
for those outside of the UK, esports is not seen as a career path, even though it very much is. It's just not seen. It's a thing you have to actually kind of explain. And I guess the second part of it as well is how is then life for you with juggling university and playing career, and especially going in towards next year? How's that going to look?
Yeah. Okay. With just the whole general of wanting to go pro in CS, it's kind of similar to a lot of other people in your parents see it as a hobby essentially, and
Yeah,
then you start like saying, "Oh, mum, I've won this amount of money,"
yeah,
or "Dad, can you drive me to the airport because I need to go to this country?" And then
yeah.
they're like, "Okay, this is something, there's
Sure,
actual real things here." And then I'm saying, "Okay, I've got this salary," and they're like, "Nice," um, and so that's there. My parents have always been like very supportive. Like they've always wanted me and
mm-hmm.
my brothers to do what we want to do, and obviously they'll say their advice. They'll
Yeah,
uh, criticize if needed, like any parent would.
of
But
course,
they've always been very supportive, so quite lucky there. Um, and also, I think another thing that typically helps with that is just like a bit of financial stability as well.
sure,
These it's an important thing in the UK, so a degree of luck there. Um, but like obviously if you're really struggling, like it's maybe your parents would be a lot more pushy in terms of going to uni and getting a job
yeah,
and
yeah,
getting the income in as soon as possible and stuff. So there's that. As for the uni conversation, um, my parents were obviously a bit like they wanted to hear my reasoning,
yes,
and
yeah,
when I explained it, and it wasn't just like I can't like the reason for me doing it wasn't because of I feel too overworked, or
mm-hmm.
I'm not enjoying uni, or any kind of, to a degree, trivial reason like that. It was kind of a genuine timeline of when I need to make a decision between CS and going into
Yeah,
finance essentially. and basically me doing this was to prolong that decision, to give myself
Okay.
more time in CS, and essentially like fulfill my contracts to a degree,
Yeah,
and and
sure.
and and uh, and yeah, give a realistic opportunity for CS to work long term.
Hmm.
Um, and when I explained this to them and gave very clear like plan essentially, and
Yeah.
uh, uh, then since they're supportive already, they were just like, okay, yeah, sounds fine. You make the decision. Are you all set in terms of the fees you might have to pay or all of this? And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's all good. I've got it all managed, and there's yeah. At that point, it was like the decision they were happy to agree with.
Hmm.
Um, as for doing work with uni, I mean, so CS work with uni,
Yeah.
obviously I did it in first year and then start of second year. Um, it's tough. Like it's not easy. Um, from when I was playing, there were times where I had to, although like it's not ideal, but it's like it's just how sometimes uni is.
Yeah.
Like pull it all night for exams, and then
Yeah.
in the academy team, like I'd pull it all nighter, do my exam, um, and then go practice after,
Yeah.
and like it's not a good schedule. So like
Yeah.
obviously when I come back to uni now, I'm striving to have a much more realistic schedule. Like of
Yes.
course, because it won't be like then it just won't be possible.
For sure.
So like actually doing, you know, as if I keep up with daily work
Hmm.
in terms of uni, and then I'm obviously doing all the CS stuff, I will have time for it.
Yeah.
Just there will be some sacrifices, less kind of social activities in person,
Of
which
course.
is always going to be that. There's always going to be that with gaming.
Yes. Yeah.
I can't really join too many societies at uni, for example.
Hmm.
Obviously, I've made my friends in uni, so I'm all content there. Um, but that's just how it is, and it's something I'm willing to kind of put to the side whilst I strive to make these things work.
Of course.
And that yeah, so it's just got to be hard working, really. That's all,
Yeah.
and just be content in the day to day.
Fair enough. Outside of esports, what kind of hobbies, interests, stuff you like? Whether it's kind of from things like football. Obviously, I know you mentioned you play some sport as well. To some people are really into movies. What is like, for you if you're either growing up before Counter Strike, what was stuff you like to do, or even just like day to day now, where you're like, oh, I'm done with prac, I'm done with my officials, I'm gonna watch a movie. What's kind of stuff that your hobbies, interests, stuff you like?
Yeah, when I was growing up, it was a ton of sports. Stopped that more,
Mm-hmm.
especially during A levels,
Sure.
because actually that was real. Like that was probably the hardest like kind of jog we've had
Yeah.
between.
A levels is rough. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was doing at one point I was doing four A levels, but I was
Same.
doing
Yeah.
further maths, and history as the final three for the, and
Damn.
they're not at all like they're also um ones where there's a shit ton of homework as well. So
Yeah.
that was hard, but um during that time then I kind of stopped with a lot of sports because I just didn't have time for it. And
Yeah.
then
What kind of sports were you playing? What were you into?
football,
Nice.
I was a right back in my day.
Big up. Yeah.
Um, Rugby I was playing a lot of.
Fair enough.
I also forgot the position what it's called, but the guy like second to the winger, so just on the like
Oh,
inside of the
outside
wing.
center. I was also an
Yeah,
outside center as well. There
yeah,
you go.
yeah. That's beautiful.
Of
Um, I did have to kind of stop that as well, more for CS, just because like
course.
if I injure my wrist or something, like it's
Yeah.
not going to be good, and that's really easy in rugby.
Yeah.
Um, and then also basketball. So those
Oh,
are kind
yeah.
of
Nice.
the main three I was kind of playing.
Hmm.
Then yeah, stopped most of those. More in the like past 2 years or something. I've just been, uh, to be fair, probably the most common activity that I've had is just going out with my mates
Of
and
course.
just
Yeah.
enjoying a night out.
Yeah.
So and just the days are quite focused for work
CS
related
and yeah,
things.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I have been watching more movies in the past year, just because it's another one of those things of like on my off time, if
Hmm.
like you're working quite a lot on your off time, I want like the off time to actually feel good.
Like a
So
break.
not like
Yeah.
yeah, not like TikTok scrolling for 2 hours, and after it,
Yeah,
you just feel worse than you were at the beginning.
yeah,
If you have a movie, you feel something after you like
yeah.
have a good mood after it or
And I feel like you
whatever.
actually have a break. I feel like I've spoken to some
Yeah.
people in the past as well, and they're like, "Oh, all I do in my spare time is just play FPL," and it's like, damn, like you like never stop. Like there's never like a bit where you like turn your brain off.
Yes.
At least like having, even if it's like an hour and a half, right? Just your brain gets to like do nothing for a little bit. I think it goes kind of a long
Yeah.
way in terms of rest.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, yeah. On that note as well, I was still partying and stuff,
Of
but
course, yeah,
it's
yeah,
one of those things. Also, as in like at IGL, you just have less time to pug as well.
yeah.
Because I'll still spend a lot of time on CS just outside of practice and games, whether it's theory crafting for the next practice or
Hmm.
prepping for the next game or reviewing things. And there's
Yeah,
all these hours that aren't actually in game time that I have to put in just as my role
of
instead
course,
of
yeah,
playing. So, and also I would say, regardless, these things are also a lot more taxing than just playing a pug.
yeah,
Like, you can play pugs with your mates and actually have a good time.
yeah. And
And
not
then if
even really
you're,
have to think. Just hold W,
yeah,
just enjoy
yeah,
it.
and
Yeah, yeah,
that can be someone's enjoyment. Like with
yeah.
Donk, he plays pugs as his hobby
Hmm.
essentially. Like that's where he has his fun. If you're an IGL, then you can't do as much of this, and that's just how it is.
Yeah,
So.
for sure. So when you talk about kind of you mentioned about kind of finance and stuff. I have a question here of sort of if you weren't involved in esports, what would you think you'd be doing? I'm assuming for you, finance would be kind of where you're at.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that would be the path that I'd like to go into if it wasn't CS.
Yeah,
Um, I've always wanted. Well, when I was growing up, I wanted to be a banker, specifically investment banker.
yeah,
So, if anything, I've had good practice with all these hours
sure, sure.
mixing CS and uni just for the incredible schedule in
Yeah,
banking, especially investment banking. That's where where I would have liked to be if CS wasn't here. Um, right now, my priority is in CS. If I had to pick between the two, I'd
yeah,
choose CS because obviously on the day to day, I'd say it's more fun,
mm-hmm.
definitely, and that's what really matters in the end. Um, so there's that, but yeah, just banking really. If I wasn't playing CS.
Yeah. Last one on this kind of stuff before we move into kind of the random ones is what does sort of a daily routine look like for you from kind of let's say it's a daily routine that includes an official at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. So what sort of a daily routine look like for you?
Okay. Yeah. So in terms of prep for games, I tend to do it the night before.
Okay.
Uh, Generally, let's assume we had a practice day
Mm-hmm.
uh, before the day of the official. So then, we'd have um, our team starts at 10 a.m. UK time.
Yeah.
Um, Start at 10, we're done at like 5,
Okay.
maybe, sometimes 6, depending on the theory. And um, after that, go have a break, go make dinner, whatever it is, and then start prepping from like 8 to 12, something like that. It depends how long it
Sure.
takes. Depends kind of sometimes the team we're playing, there's some teams in tier 2 that you can prep a lot for because they have a lot more strats, and
Yeah.
some teams where it's a lot more loose, a lot more free play, and some of the things you prep for like more more like tendencies and stuff rather than actual rounds because the rounds are unpredictable to a degree.
Sure.
Um, so that takes up the time. Then you come to the official day, just making sure I'm like getting enough sleep for the day. I don't want to be in a
Knackered.
bad,
Yeah.
yeah, knackered basically. Standard morning stuff, just have a shower, eat breakfast,
Mm-hmm.
etc., etc. Um, in the past, my team has met an hour before the games.
Mm-hmm.
I'd go over prep and stuff, and then we have time to warm up and stuff like this. With our new coach, he's proposing, and we've been doing it for the past few games, to meet 2 hours before. So
Okay.
we do prep over um, maybe like 45 minutes, so it's not as rushed. We can
Yeah.
actually have discussions. Instead of saying this is a round they play, everyone understand it. Okay, quick, make some counters. People can actually have some like, okay, I want to do this. Or your other players speaking because they've watched the game as well, and they're like,
Yeah.
okay, let me, um, yeah, this play I want to do versus them because of this timing and
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Um, so typically meeting 2 hours before. So let's say if game at 3 p.m., meet at 1 p.m. So just before that, I just have to uh, essentially enjoy my morning. I think when
Sure.
I start uni again, then I'll have to like essentially if I
Work
had
in
a
the
later
morning.
game, then I'd have to work in the morning, which
Yeah.
isn't doesn't sound the most appealing to me, but that's just how it would have to be.
Yeah, that's I guess that's the
Yeah,
sacrifice in a sense, right? As much
yeah,
as the social stuff, it is also like a sacrifice of your free time, quote unquote.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. Um, yeah, but that's it. Then play the game afterwards. Usually review. Talk about some things.
yeah.
And then cycle continues basically. Like
There we
it's
go.
it was really busy. Like I've played a ton of officials last season, and sometimes 2 games a day, and you have to like do less for one game, or in some cases just prioritize your
Hmm.
like well-being, so you actually come into the game and you're ready to perform. Your prep doesn't matter if you're going to lose your bomb site every round, because
Yeah,
you suck on that day.
for sure.
So yeah, that's
All right.
got to manage a lot.
There we go. Well, I've got some random questions that people always like to know. So, first one, classic one. What's your sort of warm up routine? What do you like to do?
Recently, I've been doing deathmatch. I've
Okay.
always been quite a big guy that doesn't warm up.
Okay.
Um, and if I did, like, it'd be very minimal.
Hmm.
Just quick aim bots, 2 minutes, get the mouse moving.
Sure.
But recently, I've found like good, like genuine, like impact on my aim. If I'm before the game doing about 20 minutes of deathmatch,
Okay.
maybe getting to like 100, 150 kills.
Hmm.
Always rough. Just it can depend as well. Like if prep was longer, then
Hmm.
there's less time, or sometimes the game to be delayed, whatever it is. But that's the rough warm up. Um, After also wash my hands just to
Okay.
reset the hand feeling.
Yeah.
I've just been doing that. Um, and then I'll to kind of keep a bit of consistency. I'll wash my hands mid map as well. I mean, sorry,
Ah, okay.
no,
In
between
between
maps. I
maps.
mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know, just because also sometimes games can get tense. Maybe you get a bit
Bit
sweaty.
sweaty.
Maybe
Yeah,
the
for
hand
sure.
ramp up a little bit, whatever it is. So just kind of resets the feeling, keeps that consistent. Don't know how impactful it is, but it's just what I've been doing recently.
It's like a
Um,
superstition in a way, right? But if it works for you,
yeah,
it
yeah,
works. That's what that matters.
yeah. Just have some form of consistency, and then
Yeah.
then it gives you, I don't know, even as a placebo effect of or sense of security
Yeah,
before
for
coming in.
sure. I mean,
So that's
sense of
my warm up.
routine is good. I think in this
Yeah,
sense. So if it worked once and you carry on doing it, there we go.
yeah.
Another one. Did you ever have like a CS idol growing up, like from your watching days into the kind of playing days? Or any player that you always looked up to?
To be honest, no. Like,
Okay.
yeah, not really. It was more teams that I liked. I did watch a lot of Pro CS, even when I
Hmm.
was bad. Um, like I've always been a fan of FaZe and Navi
Sure.
specifically. Um, so I guess to a degree you can maybe say Carrigan, just because I
Sure.
always liked, a lot of he always played entertaining CS throughout his whole career. So if there's anyone, maybe him. There's not really a major specific one, not
Hmm.
necessarily one from the UK or anything.
For sure.
Yeah.
So, what would you say today is sort of your proudest achievement in Counter Strike?
Um, I guess making the RMR with
Hmm.
Viperio would technically be it, because it's something like I actually qualified to.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've been to higher events or and further in tournaments with Monty when I had that stint with them and stuff. Like we made playoffs of Pro League,
Yeah.
which is cool. But to a degree, I didn't qualify to Pro League. I didn't, and in the games, I just yeah, I played my role, I played my part,
Yeah.
but it wasn't necessarily something to be insanely proud of.
Sure.
So it was just the course of how everything went down. So I guess making like qualifying to RMR was
Yeah.
the most proud
I mean,
time.
that was a pretty big achievement, especially for the UK. First side to ever do it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we were definitely we had our quirks as a team then that kind of set like made us win.
Hmm.
Definitely, there was a bit of luck involved in terms of like the teams you get, the maps you can play, because
Yeah.
at that point we could only really play Nuke and Vertigo. So
Sure.
we and also Anubis. So we got a bit lucky in some of the vetoes that we had these maps in it.
Yeah. Okay.
If we played some teams and they, pick in Mirage versus us and
Hmm.
third map overpass, we'd get fucked like completely. So there's always that. But it was yeah, very happy to make with them because it was not expected. And
Yeah.
um yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough. Who's the best player you've ever played with? I guess probably. I don't. I think probably we'll go official teams rather than like FPL, FPLC, that kind of thing. Because
Sure,
obviously you've
sure.
obviously probably played with some top players. So best player you've ever played with in an actual team.
Okay, I'll do two answers for this.
Yeah.
I'll do one when I was actually in UK teams,
Yeah.
so like a UK player. At that time, it was Leaf.
Okay.
Um,
Sure.
yeah, I learned a lot from Leaf. And he was a really level-headed, smart player.
Hmm.
Uh, had some great moments of you know aim as well.
Yeah.
But I really respected Leaf when I was playing with him, especially in the first Heaven and Hell lineup I
Yes.
was with him in. So in the UK, he was the best. As for EU, okay, I'll do two more answers for this.
Go on.
Probably Demq. Like when I
Yeah.
joined Monty, like yeah, very very good player, very individually talented, very understanding of what the output he basically needs to put out with his role,
Sure.
and also um he was also to a degree like a good mentor.
Hmm.
He also um helped me in some moments and gave advice, and
Yeah.
it was good advice. Um, the final answer I'll put is Ryu. Like
Okay. Yeah.
maybe you can maybe argue that Demq when I was with him, like at his kind of peak, was better. But
Hmm.
I will say, like I think Ryu's for sure like gonna be tier one in soon.
I agree.
Obviously, I can't leak the team, but he had discussions with tier one teams
Yeah.
or a tier one team in this player break. This guy is really really fucking insane, and yeah, I've been with him for 2 years, so I've seen the improvement.
Yeah.
I know he's a hardworking guy. He like death matches like 2 3 hours a day. Um, he's very understanding of his positions. He watches demos.
Yeah.
All of these things, everything you need from a player, he's got it. And it's more like interpersonal things like communication and stuff. I've always kind of pushed onto him,
Mhm.
and you know at his own essentially uh, because of his own accords, basically,
Yeah. Sure.
he's gotten a lot better. I've told other players like your communication needs to work here and stuff, and they don't improve because
Yeah.
it's at the end of the day, it's what you do. Like you can have all these people saying advice to you. If you don't implement it, then
Mhm.
that's it. So all credit to him. But yeah, I think he's really insane. He's going to be picked up soon.
Yeah.
I think he's one of the best anchors and lurks in tier two, and definitely better than some tier one players in those roles right now.
Yeah.
So
I
I'll put him.
last month or whatever casted him at ISF, and he was without a doubt the best player at the tournament. Like it's not even close. Like he was that
Yeah,
good.
he played
He
nicely. Yeah.
was ridiculously good. So yeah, I got to agree there. Just for shits and gigs, who is there anyone you've pugged with who's just like ridiculously good? Like you got into the pug and this, he was just like worlds better than everybody,
Well,
or pugged against maybe even as well.
I
Like
mean, well, if pugged against would be Donk because like you play him in pugs and he just rips your head off and you're
yeah,
like, okay. Played with Simple. I've
yeah,
played with him in an FPL game before. There's actually a funny clip of me getting a really nice 2K spray transfer or something,
yeah.
and then Simple's like, "Oh my God, Gizmy."
Oh yes, I have seen that one. Yeah,
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 yeah, it's a funny clip, funny clip.
yeah.
But he's probably the best with. As for like more of an unknown name, mm, yeah, actually, I don't know. I don't know.
Fair
I'll
enough.
just say Simple.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Another one is who would you say in terms of like officials is the best, or even scrims as well, like best player you've played against, like somebody who obviously there's people like Donk, right, and that's a very valid answer, but players who surprised you of how good they were when you played against them.
Ooh. Um. mm, Not well. Maybe there's definitely been people, but I'm maybe forgetting them. Or
Sure.
I know teams. I can say anytime I've practiced Navi,
Okay.
they've always been really good. We actually practiced them recently, and they did have a good game versus us. But
Mhm.
they've always been come out of the game like actually learning a few things or something,
Yeah,
which
sure.
has always been nice. Yeah, players. Uh, Yeah, I don't know. I'm actually, yeah, I'm not really a guy in practice who's, like almost checking scoreboard and stuff. Like if
Okay,
someone's
fair.
having a good game, it's like whatever. And to be fair, also a lot of the time in practice, these guys have their name changed. Like I think
Yeah, yeah.
more than like probably 70% of the server has different names on. So
Yeah.
I'm dying to see this guy in a tier two team, and I'm like, I don't even care
Don't
anymore
even.
to see who
Yeah.
it is. Just like, yeah, okay.
Fair enough. Another one is what player do you think is going to be kind of the next big thing? I know you've kind of already touched on this, but my stipulation is you can't play with them. They can't be on your team. So I normally like to
Okay.
say one from your local scene and then one just like from your scene around the world. So I think like, some in the past that I've had is people like Zwei, for example, or Molodoy, those kind of things. Like,
Hmm.
youngsters coming through kind of tier two that aren't in tier one already. And also somebody from the UK who you just rate, who you think, who's still playing as well, who you think could actually be somebody to escape the UK.
Okay. Um, Well, I'll think about that. Whilst I think about that for a second, I'll
Yeah.
say just a funny thing because you mentioned the name with Molodoy.
Yeah.
When he would first played a HCV game with like some random Kazakh team,
Yeah.
my coach at the time, Monty Jen, was saying, "Bro, we should sign this guy. Like, we should sign." He like watched him play and he was like, "Yeah, let's sign him." And I was like, "Bro, he doesn't know English. Like, we can't take
Oh,
him." uh, and I don't know if he would have joined anyway. I think
yeah,
definitely him going to AMCO at the time was better, obviously, because they
yeah,
spoke his language,
of
which is
course.
like really important.
Yeah,
But that was so sometimes I get jokes made about that because I
could
said
have had
no to.
Maladoy.
Yeah. Uh, okay. As for more region. Mm,
Is there any UK players that you just rate and think they could actually make it? I mean,
well, I would have
obviously
said Azu, but I've
Azu
taken it.
exactly, but yeah, he's on your team, so I guess that
Yeah.
doesn't count. Is there any other players like coming around that don't even have to be youngsters? They can just be players around that you still think could actually kind of have even like a solid career just in tier two, just being a player who is actually like either a heavy hitter or very small, good anchor, that kind of thing.
I guess the maybe main one would, if I was to, yeah, kind of use my feelings at the time, I would say probably Giraffe.
Okay, sure.
I don't know why kind of no one's picked him up. I don't know his situation in the past. Like
Hmm.
I think I heard that he had offers from EU teams at different points, but
Okay.
I never actually confirmed if this is true or not. And I don't know why if it didn't happen. But when I was playing with him, he was also very good. He was a
Yeah.
really good anchor. Um, Again, like he was one of the only guys as well that was getting like consistent multi kills as well. Like they go
Yeah.
to his bomb site, just round over, and also he was catching good luck timing. So
Yeah.
from the UK, then him. I don't know if yeah, Callum's still playing.
Hmm.
Well, no, he should still be playing for Alaska, but I don't know if he still has aspirations to um
Compete kind of thing.
compete
Yeah.
because I haven't spoken to him in a while, so I don't know what his in real life situation
Hmm.
is right now, whether he's playing part time or whatever. I have no clue.
Sure.
But he was always really good. So I think if he was still willing to go pro, and that's still an aspiration for him, and an EU team or a good team was to pick him up, I actually think he'd do well.
Yeah.
At least with my opinion of him back then. I haven't watched him play recently. I haven't done any of that, but probably him as a UK guy.
Yeah.
As for I guess tier two scene to go tier one, um, funnily enough, I would have said Mattis.
Okay.
If
Yeah.
you asked
Fair.
me, back then, before we went to G2. Um, let's see. Hang on. Can I cheat here? Just pull up the tier
Yeah.
two team to
Do
watch
it. Do
TV.
it.
Do a quick look, man.
Because
Um,
there's names that get thrown around. I get there's like one guy on G2 Aries that's been thrown around a bit now.
Klim,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
author.
He's been thrown
Yeah,
around a
okay.
bit. Um, but it's always good to get insight from players themselves because you play against these guys, you prac against these guys, you see them on a regular sort of quote unquote day to day basis.
Yeah,
I'm trying to have a
yeah.
look now. See who I sort of generally say tier two is like outside of top 30, so to say. I think like that's like sort of tier two is generally
Okay,
where I look at it. But then again, that's kind of
sure.
difficult because you got teams like there's like OG here, Fnatic are here, Imperial are here. So you know what I mean by
Yeah,
tier two in a
okay.
sense. Yeah,
Maybe I'll give more than one answer for this. Like
got
I
them.
think maybe it's like tier 1.5 or something.
Sure.
I think uh Nipple or
Yes.
NPL,
Yeah.
like regardless, I think it was reported that he had got an offer from Navi. I don't
Mm.
know again what he wants to do.
Well,
But
he
obviously,
as of like a few hours ago is officially signed to Bait now. Like he's out of
yeah,
his
yeah,
Navi contract and stuff. Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know what kind of if he has a tier one team that he would say yes to,
Mm-hmm.
because obviously the main Ukrainian org he said no to. So
Yeah.
not sure there, but I think if you have an IGL who's putting up those numbers,
Yeah.
it obviously means something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in a lot of scenarios anyway, if he was to go to a tier one team, you would already have a star player there
Mm-hmm.
who would kind of have priority in those roles. So
Yeah.
he would then get pushed back onto worse roles. But obviously the aim has to be there for those stats to come through and
For sure.
stuff like this. And um, I wouldn't say he's the most like he's definitely not a IGL that is uh doing like crazy strats or anything. A lot of his strats
Yeah.
are basically allowing his team to play and aim,
Yeah.
which uh works for them. So that's
Mm.
fine. So yeah, we'll see if a team takes him. As for maybe tier two and below, now that I'm just looking, I think I think Anna Lele will
Okay. Yeah.
eventually get picked up to a Danish tier one team.
Mm-hmm.
Again, yeah, he's just always been like quite a consistent guy,
Sure.
and he's always played good quality CS. So he's one. Um, mm, there was always Jambo as well,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. The Orpe, of course. Yeah.
yep, Jambo.
Wait. Oh,
And
he's still on
then
Fnatic, isn't he? Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So he's doesn't have as monstrous stats as he did on Passion, but
Yeah.
they're still good. Mm,
Trying to think who else I'd even throw out there.
I guess Jacob.
Yeah,
Jacob.
the
Yeah.
Swedish kid. Yeah. What do you think about Ne0? I was like rated Ne0 quite a lot. The guy on Ents, the French kid.
Yeah. I think he's good. I think he's
Yeah.
good. But like I don't think like yeah, I think he's definitely good, but he's not like a guy who I'm saying needs to be in tier one,
Sure.
basically.
Sure.
Not yet. And
Jacob seems
you know,
cracked. He seems like he can
yeah,
actually step up in there.
Jacob's very individually good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think yeah, like Natu's on a good track though. Like I think I wouldn't be surprised if he was to move up at some point. That
Fair.
wouldn't surprise me. It just not like a not a pressing like this guy needs to be there.
Yeah. Right. Sure. Fair enough.
I guess maybe a Russian one is just some of the players on Vision, like
Yeah.
Belchenok maybe.
Yeah.
Belchenok
Belchanok and
is
Nota. Those kids
yeah
have been farming it.
yeah. I think Belchenok specifically
Yeah.
has always again is a player that plays like good quality CS,
Mhm.
and like has consistent decision making, which is like what you want to see,
Yeah.
and obviously is good at aiming. So yeah, I'll put him as well.
Insane firepower as well. Like when
Yep.
he hits hard as well. Yeah. So I got two final questions for you.
Okay.
First one, we're gonna go with build your all-time UK super team, and you can either like UK and Irish super team. So you can either kind of choose to include yourself or not, depending on what you feel like. But what are you saying? All-time UK and Irish super team,
Okay. We'll put Mezzi in there.
of course.
Um, we'll actually stick him on the roles he's in Vitality now,
Okay,
just to so
keep it
like
simple. Yeah,
kind of the second lurk, second anchor kind of roles.
yeah.
Me as IGL,
Nice.
just yeah, we'll back myself.
Keep it confident. Love it.
We'll put yeah, well, Smir as Orpa.
Yeah, that's
Um,
valid. Fair
just
enough.
yeah, definitely the best Orpa. Then I will take Azu
Mm-hmm.
as star player,
Okay.
and then so we
Got one more, probably like some sort of
kind of need
supporting.
a
Yeah.
okay. Now that I'm thinking of roles, actually, the because I need like a hard anchor, hard lurk, but
Yeah.
so I can't in that sense I can't take Kai or Cypher, but
Yeah.
I would like to take it dependent. Okay, dependent on the roles.
Could you make
Mezzi
Azu do
plays.
those roles? I guess.
No,
No.
well, no, I want to keep on start. Depending on the
Yeah.
roles Mezzi takes, whether it's more active or not. Um, I would either take Cypher
Mhm.
or on like active roles
Yeah.
or Dobbo on the hard anchor lurks.
Okay, Dobbo.
Or also slash Giraffe then as well for those roles as well. Like, I don't know, those are interchangeable
Yeah.
because again I've played with Dobbo a lot recently, but and I haven't seen Giraffe's form.
Yeah.
But both probably the better anchors in the UK.
Fair enough. Okay. Final question, a nice one to round it out. What advice would you give to kind of up and coming future pros, people who are wanting to get into kind of playing Counter Strike at a professional level? What sort of advice would you give them? I guess it doesn't even have to specifically be from the UK, but obviously it's kind of that's what you had. But what advice would you give?
Um, well, more in general for just everyone,
Mm-hmm.
is that like your reputation precedes you a lot, and
Sure.
even if you like, you'll be talked about, like regardless of what you
Yeah.
yeah, think about it. Like, if a team wants to pick you up, they're asking ex players, they're asking your coach,
Yeah.
they're asking why you're kicked. In the interviews, maybe when they're speaking to you, they will ask these questions, whatever it is, and it will impact it a lot, you know.
Mm.
And also, people are also smart for the most part as well. So it will definitely happen more in the past, but it happens less now because people have, to a degree, clocked it. But like, people aren't gonna tend to pick up like a stat player
Yeah.
as well. So obviously you can go for stats, and it probably it will help you more than not, but you will also suffer if you're clearly baiting and stuff, and you're
Yes.
clearly like not doing what it takes to win for the team. Because I think another good example of this in the other way is Torsen getting picked up to
Mm-hmm.
Gamer Legion. He didn't get picked up, like, when he got picked up, his stats weren't like 1.15 or whatever.
Yeah.
I think they were like 1.05 or something, which is, to a degree, like, good slash average for
Average.
his
Yeah.
role.
Yeah.
But I was playing against him at the time, and it was a player that was, doing a lot. He had a lot of
Mm.
impact. If the team needed to go in, he was going to go in, and these are like the skills that people are actually looking for, and that's why he's getting picked up instead of this guy who has a better rating, because you
Yeah.
watch
Like a
his demo, and
1.2. Yeah.
yeah, he watches them, and there is, and also even these HLTV stats now help a lot. Like, if you pull up Namanha's
Right. Yeah.
stats, it will say like entry in 10,
Yeah.
open in 80, and when you have these combinations, you see what type of player it is. Okay, is this guy constantly by himself like Namanha is, because that's what high opening, going for a lot of plays, but
Yeah.
he's never with his team. He's always solo lurking.
Mm-hmm.
Or if a guy is high entry in and high opening, then okay, he's an aggro player. If
Yeah.
it's high entry, and okay, he's willing to go in first for his team, and a lot of these things. There's all of these things and so
Sure.
that also helps now. It's really obvious to tell what type of player someone is. They're just literally on your profile, and
Yeah.
1.2 rating, but you got 10 entry in and 100 trade in.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. If you're maybe you'll get picked up for the star player roles, but the other things, like other roles, you won't. So yeah.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Well, that sums up all of my questions. So I'd like to leave this sort of spot here. Any shout outs you want to have before we kind of come it to an end?
Um, Shout out Ryu,
Fair enough.
uh, future tier one. Shout out
Yeah.
my team as well, for being a pleasure to play with so far. Maybe someone decides to act up and
Change that.
become a struggle. We never know.
Yeah.
Um, and shout out Monty and their fans. Yep, always nice people,
Big
sound
up.
people.
Love it.
Some of them
Well,
will probably watch the interview as well. So
there we go. Shout out
yeah,
you guys. Well, Gizmy, thank you very much for joining me, mate. It's been a pleasure to have you on. Of course, thank you everybody at
thank you.
home for watching. You know the drill. Like, subscribe, all of that bullshit. Appreciate watching. It's been a pleasure. Until next time, see you soon.